Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and I did a video yesterday discussing basic protein needs and things, how much protein is actually used to build muscle mass, and it did raise a lot of questions, a lot of points. There's a lot of discussion there over it, and something I feel that needs to be raised there, because I did say that, hey, if it's your preference to eat more protein, that's fine, that's great, but it's really a bigger topic than that. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing. Let's do a little bit of crafting and talk about this for a minute. Because the reality is, while it can be a personal choice for many of us, in fact, some people, overeaters, people like me who are chronic overeaters, there might even be some benefits to slowing down fat gain by eating more protein. But the problem is, there are quite a few situations in which too much protein, or trying to hit too much target protein in your diet, can actually hurt your muscle gains. And that's one of the key points. That's one reason when I talk about these athletes, of why these top level coaches and sports nutritionists for world-class athletes have different recommendations in these magazine writers and bodybuilding coaches. And the difference is because their athletes can't afford that margin for error. Many of these top athletes have to get enough protein to gain muscle quickly, while concurrently not sacrificing anything else. Meaning they can't sacrifice performance. They can't sacrifice total calorie intake, all sorts of other things as a result of it. So your cliff notes are that basically trying to hit too much protein in your diet for some people could cause problems with getting sufficient nutrition, sufficient carbohydrates to fuel training, sufficient glycogen replenishment, again for training and recovery. And for some people it can become a budget issue. Now, that being said, I think one of the biggest problems out there in the industry is that we have the hard gainer. And the hard gainer has been targeted forever by the supplement industry. The skinny guy getting the sand kicked his face on the beach, all the way back in the 50s and 60s. That guy was right there in the advertisements. That skinny hard gainer. They love to market to them. But the crazy thing is, the skinny hard gainer is the guy that needs to be taken in the least protein. Because first of all, carbs are really, really cheap anyways and easy to get. You don't need a carbohydrate supplement now. They've done that too these days, which is ridiculous, trying to get better carbohydrates, get your waxy maize, your dextrose, all this stuff. But that's going to be another topic anyways with the budget end. But with the hard gainer, they've tried to market to them so much. And the worst crime towards the hard gainer the supplement industry has ever done, besides convince them that all these fake natties are natty, is trying to push high protein intake on them. Now, a lot of people are going to go, what? Why? I don't understand. Because the hard gainer is a chronic undereater. Now, stop and think about that for a minute. Calorie for calorie, besides fiber, what is the most satiating macronutrient? Known to be protein. Protein is filling per calorie. The hard gainer struggles to get enough food in, right? So making him consume far more protein than he needs for ideal muscle gains is going to do what? It's going to suppress his appetite. That's the guy who's going to struggle to eat enough. A lot of these hard gainers, you look at what they're doing with their diet, and what do you hear from them? I struggle to eat enough. I can't eat enough. I eat as much as I can till I'm going to puke. And then you find out that they're trying to eat 250 grams of protein a day when they weigh 150 or 160. And you want to see the problem there? That person doesn't need more than 100, 120 grams of protein, tops, based upon all the calculations from the top experts, to gain muscle if they're consuming enough calories to gain any body weight at all, even a small surplus, right? So why in the world would these people have them consume 100 to 150 grams more protein than they actually need? That actually means they're going to be consuming, if let's say they get it from chicken breast, a pound or more of extra chicken breast every single day in their diet. That's going to fill them up. These guys already undereat. So what's going to happen? They're eating an ultra high satiety food that really isn't adding to their muscle gains. They're going to struggle to get enough calories to gain weight. They're going to stay a hard gainer. Same thing, have them drink 4 protein shakes, get that extra 100 grams of protein. Well, protein shakes are filling too. Then you combine that with the fact that a huge percentage of the population is lactose intolerant. Then you're going to give them gastric disturbances and gas and loose stool and everything else. It's going to affect their nutrient absorption. It's going to be even harder for them to get enough food in because they're going to be gassy, bloated, not absorbing nutrients well. So you've doubled up on them now. They're going to stay hard gainers the rest of their life. We got problems here. It's filling and it's not helpful. Now, the other thing is going to be glycogen replenishment and recovery based around that. A lot of people point out, yeah, but surplus protein is converted into glucose. It is converted into glucose. It can be used for glycogen replenishment. Well, yeah, in theory, that's true. But first of all, it's a very inefficient process, meaning it loses calories to do it. Now, that's great news for the person who's very obese trying to lose weight, who eats a higher protein diet, because their body has to waste calories converting that 40% or so of protein that they're able to convert into glucose, right? So they're having to waste some calories to create glucose from it. Well, that's a good thing from a thermic effect perspective for the overweight person. But the thing is, they're still going to struggle like everyone else to get maximal muscle glycogen replenishment because, one, it is an inefficient process, and two, it doesn't go straight to the muscle glycogen. If you're eating a bunch of extra carbs right now, or particularly, you trained and everything earlier today and then you eat a high carb diet throughout the day, a good chunk of that goes immediately to your muscle cells. The insulin will transport it to your muscles. It turns from glucose in the bloodstream into muscle glycogen and it replenishes. When protein is converted into glucose, it's generally done by the liver, unless it is done by cortisol, which is extracting it from your muscle tissue. Then it's more localized. But your dietary protein that you're consuming that gets converted into it, it goes to the liver first. Well, the liver also has glycogen stores. So your liver ends up getting a chunk of that glycogen. So protein ends up being an inefficient and less effective means of replenishing muscle glycogen. It works, but it doesn't work as well, and it's not going to give you as easy or as full of muscle glycogen storage as just consuming carbohydrates will. So if you're replacing large amounts of dietary carbs with protein while trying to train maximally, if you're on a really intense, high intensity or high workload program that needs a lot of muscle glycogen, guess what? Ultra high protein diet without enough carbs in it, because you've replaced too many carbs with it, is going to reduce your performance in the gym, and it's going to reduce your recovery. Even though you're consuming the same amount of calories, assuming you can, if you're a hard gainer, you might not be, but you're not getting the muscle glycogen replenishment that you might want. So we're creating a problem here that's twofold for the hard gainer, and the same thing for even the obese person. Someone who's obese and trying to lose weight, yes, they might get better satiety from the protein. But if they're getting insufficient muscle glycogen replenishment, their training is going to suffer. If their training is going to suffer, they are going to recomposition slower, and they're going to speed their metabolism up slower. They're going to burn less calories. So it may not really be worth it for them in the end to go ultra high. It's going to really depend. There's a lot of variables involved as to which is going to balance out. We could argue they could eat a much, much higher fiber diet with tons of vegetables in it and get the same satiety while getting more carbohydrates and better glycogen replenishment, which might lead to superior training. So there's more than one way to skin a cat there. Cats are high in protein, by the way. Just throwing that out there. Not that I would do that. You guys know I love cats. I've owned cats and had them on camera before. So, that being said, there's some problems there. Now, what's another big one? Budget. Same thing. How many young guys who are on a tighter budget or college guys out there being sold into this high protein thing? They're on a budget. A lot of these guys are having to hit these protein needs. Oh, they're trying to get 250 grams of protein a day because they weigh 170 and they're told they need 1.5 grams per pound of body weight instead of just eating 100 or 120 grams, which will give them all the muscle that they want. Remember, guys, 120 gram a day protein diet is considered to be a high protein diet from a nutrition perspective, even a sports nutrition perspective. Just because the bodybuilding and magazine and fitness world has a different set of numbers doesn't make it not true. Those people are in the minority in the world of dietetics and nutrition. Just make sure you understand that is a high protein diet. Now, that being said, there's the financial cost, because a lot of these guys, that 400 calories a day they're getting from an extra 100 grams of protein, or in this case maybe 150, that's what, 600 calories out of their day? What are they paying for that? Okay, maybe if you live in Texas and you're eating exclusively chicken breast that you buy bulk, that's only $3 a day, right? $3 a day for that. But in a lot of places, it ends up being $5, $6, $7 a day for that extra protein that they don't actually need, that they could have replaced with 25 cents worth of carbohydrates. See where this is going? People on a tight budget are having to spend at least an extra $5 a day, $150 a month that they don't have. Because even if they're buying it in the form of protein powders, all of the decent tasting protein powders are still going to cost these guys a fair amount of money. They're not as cheap as getting cheaper foods that are actually more enjoyable. I mean, these protein powders get expensive because they're so nasty to make them palatable. And again, assuming you're not lactose intolerant. But to make them palatable makes them expensive. So people end up eating this nasty stuff, or they're just eating nothing but dry chicken breast all day. Again, they're eating unenjoyable, expensive foods oftentimes. And again, I like a lot of high protein foods. I like really lean steaks and really lean cuts of meat. But, you know, I don't want to eat 2 pounds of them every day, 3 pounds of them every day, 7 days a week. That's not my idea of an enjoyable meal plan. But, you know, that being said, look at the price tag on it. All right, at least $150 every month extra that these guys are having to dish out. Again, a lot of these guys are in school. They're your people without great paying jobs, often on tight budgets, high school guys, college guys. Young guys who are trying to make it. You know, they're spending $150 or more a month on protein that they don't actually need, whether they're getting it from supplement sources or from food sources that they don't actually need to reach their goals. That may, if you go back and look at the other stuff, might be interfering with their goals, particularly if they're not getting enough dietary carbs to fuel maximum training. If their goals were to gain muscle mass as quickly as possible, that might be an interference there. And it's fine for guys on huge amounts of drugs because they have better nutrient partitioning. They make better use of all of that from a feed efficiency and a glycogen storage perspective. Guys who aren't on huge amounts of drugs are going to struggle a little more with that. So financially, these guys are having to spend a fortune because this industry has told them that they have to. Again, $150 a month at least, times 12. See where this is going? About $1,800 a month spent on their diet. Additional stuff for their diet that they didn't actually have to have, that didn't even benefit them because an industry has told them that they need it. Well, think about it from another perspective. If you're a young guy on a tight budget, $1,800 a year, what all else could you do that you enjoy with that same money? You know, if you're on a tight budget, $1,800 a year is a lot of money. You're a full-time college student or a high school student, $1,800 is a lot of money. You could do other things with that. A lot of other things with that. So, and it's fine if people have the money to throw away on it, but a lot of these guys don't. And so the financial cost is another negative to it. So they're spending it with no benefits. So to sum things up, guys, how is this a problem? Well, for hard gainers and some other people, your issues are going to be you're suppressing your appetite with more protein than you need to gain muscle. Could be a problem, could interfere with muscle gains. Less glycogen storage, so it could interfere with ideal training and maximum training intensity, as well as recovery from training. And then for other people, there's a financial burden to consider. So there are negatives, potential negatives for many people, not everyone, but to many people, of consuming too much protein, which is why it's important to understand that the numbers that you need to gain muscle mass, according to the real experts out there, for a strength athlete, is 1 to 1.6 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight. And if you're anywhere in that range, you're probably okay. And that if you choose to consume more than that for gaining muscle, for purposes of gaining muscle, you're not doing it to gain muscle, you're doing it because you just enjoy more protein in your diet or some other fringe benefits like appetite suppression. But it's not actually helping you build any more muscle. So you're not consuming it for that purpose, you're doing it because of a personal preference. And that's okay as long as you understand that it's a personal preference and that it's not necessary or even benefiting you from a muscle gain perspective. All right, guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.